Welcome to Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Today we're talking about Bitcoin's odds of hitting $100,000 this year. Also, why the heck is Ethereum continuing to bleed? And who's it bleeding against? Solana. Solana is pumping. We're going to talk about that ecosystem. And then we're going to talk about, if we have time, what is Donald Trump going to do to meme coins if he wins? We got some major, you can see it right there, mega events. And that's this week. We got 4 mega events over the next 8 days. You could probably guess what the one is 8 days from now, but we got 3 other things that are going to shock the markets, and you must be paying attention. Now's the time to be plugged into crypto. Now's the time to discover crypto, and now's the time to put on your bell bottoms, Disco fam. How are we all doing today? How are you doing, Josh? Thumbs up, everybody. You're looking suave. You're looking debonair. You got nice little color coordination going on here. Once again, people like the Tyler Durden jacket.
I like it, man. I'm liking the brown leather look, especially right now. It's getting a little bit colder outside in the fall. But yeah, the $69,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin's feeling pretty sexy today, is what it looks like in the charts here. But how did you get good weekend this week, TJ? We got TJ behind the stick.
Yeah. I had a great weekend. Life is good. Bitcoin is pumping. The Falcons won, which is nice. #1 in the division. So.
Oh my God! Did you guys see the World Series Grand Slam?
Yes. Yeah.
Holy. Oh,
Freddie Freeman, friend of ours.
GG Braves.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice grand slam. Shout out to my fiance's mother. She loves the Dodgers. A lot of Dodgers fans. Let us know, who's your favorite MLB team? I grew up in Houston, so I like the Cheaters, aka the Astros. Let me know how stupid I am for liking the Astros.
Got to be the Braves here. Come on.
Braves.
Yeah, got to be the Braves.
Who's your team,
which is
Josh?
Freeman. I will.
You got the Yankees.
I
think I would be a Padres fan, but I'm not super into baseball. But you have to talk about the walkout. That was just the craziest walkout Grand Slam in history. That was the first one ever.
Yeah, that's what I heard. First walk-off Grand Slam in World Series history.
You can never have a cooler exit ever in the World Series.
Seth Shepard likes the Cubs, baby. We got Atlanta fans, of course. Astros and Mattress Mac. That's right. Then we have Blue Jays. All right, let us know who your teams are. But my team is Bitcoin. I'm Team Bitcoin. And how's Bitcoin doing today? It is up 1.6%. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see a little better here. Ethereum is up 1%. But if we look at Solana's finally starting to cool down. It is down 1.5%. But if you look at the weekly, that tells the tale. ETH down 6%, Solana up 7%. Where the heck is Dogecoin? Dogecoin is pumping, everyone's saying it is up 6% right now. Cardano, flat. That thing is down 0.4%. Let's keep scrolling down. Chainlink also down 0.7%. But what do we have for big gainers? I know we had something that just popped into the top 100. SPX 6900. Have you heard anything about this token, Josh?
I have not yet.
I'm guessing, looking at the number, maybe more of a meme coin right there. TJ, Bitcoin SV pumping 8%. How does that make you feel?
Sick to the stomach.
It's scary, right?
I can't stand anything Bitcoin SV, Craig Wright, any of that stuff.
All right, Mariners as well, St. Louis. We got the Rangers. Shout out to George Bush. George Bush owned the Rangers and almost ran it into the ground. He had to sell it at a loss. We have Aave Aave up 4.5%. And not only Bitcoin SV, we have Bitcoin Cash pumping as well. Let's look at the biggest dumpers. What do we have that is on discount? What's on sale? We have SWE continuing to bleed. Is the air out of the winds for SWE? It no longer seems sweet.
Look, I'm not that train has left the station. That thing is moving. So I don't know. It's hot right now.
It's down 16%. Would you consider that a good for the week here? Would you consider that a entry point?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That thing needs to cool off way more before I ever touch it. Not that it's a great project. They have a lot going for them, but this thing. Let me pull up the chart here.
I mean, look, we know it just had a big unlock, right?
Yes.
So that could be part of this pullback here. If you look just real simple, TA, I mean, you could say $1.40 instead of $1. It's at $1.70 right now.
Yeah, you're looking at like $1.40 is actually a pretty decent support zone. That's going to be your 100-day EMA, and then your 200 all the way down at $1.25. But yeah, it had this explosive move. This is. We are coming into a lot of areas of support, and it could be that getting that change of character here. What I would actually watch for is potentially a little cup and handle pattern here to play out. But right now, yeah, daily still got plenty of room to downside. However, this could be a decent entry point on it. It's just one of those projects that's it's not that I don't like SWE or anything at all. It's just it's had this explosive movement, and it's virtually a new project. So to TJ's point here, saying there's token unlocks taking place, might want to watch it, just find some support here as we wait for Bitcoin to break out, hopefully past 70K.
All right, I'm looking at Solana in its early days, in its run up. What is Tia's market cap at right now, Josh?
Tia or
I'm sorry, Sui. What is Sui's? Someone in the chat sad about their Tia.
4.6 billion.
4.6 billion. All right, so I pulled up Solana on its first run to 15 billion. You can see it was flat and it kind of floated around and shot up near that level. Got as high as 4.6 billion right there, but then ended up crashing all the way down to 3.4. So I had a nice little healthy pullback. But here you can see, maybe more of what we're experiencing now. Solana shot all the way up to $15 billion, but then dropped to 6 billion. So lost more than half its market cap there. And then had another, like, oh, that was just a fake out. Then fell again to the $7 billion market cap range. But then we just zoom out. I'm just going to add about 4 months to the timeline here. Then look what happened there. This is that run up to 15 right there. And then that run up to 15, this was a bearish period. This is kind of what we're experiencing with Sui right now. So don't expect a pump anytime soon. You can see here it bottomed out. What are we? May 23rd, still July 23rd. Let's just say, still flat. Even August 23rd, and then that's kind of when it finally started to put a move to the upside.
What's interesting to me about that is that's all during a bull run too. That's all during 2021.
This is 2021, supposed to be a bull run year. That does not look like a bull run year if you're looking at the price chart.
What was the date when it actually started going? September? The first right there.
Right here. Yeah, August. We're looking at August. And then had a nice little move, consolidated, and then, kind of real close to September, really, really went on a rant. And then you can see it went up to 80 billion. If we look right now, what did we hit? 120? No, not even 90. Yeah, we got into the 90s. So this is Solana's market cap that we're looking at there. So that's a little, just, for the SWE holders out there, you feel a little bearish, you feel a little down. I would be maybe a little hesitant of dumping right now if you bought in high. Now, if you got in at 50 cents, yeah, maybe put it into a faster horse. But if you got in at $2, I wouldn't be selling.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, the Bitcoin dominance is remaining just way higher right now. So I don't expect altcoins to perform over the next week and just all of a sudden switch this direction into an alt season. So if Bitcoin does get a bit of a rejection one more time, goes back down to $68,000 or $67,000, I just think there could be another 10, 20% drop there. That would be my target range. And again, that's putting us at exactly what TJ said, probably around $1.40, probably potentially even $1.27 here. But it all depends, because I wanted to point out here too on the SPX, Bitcoin's been following this. I know you guys have been watching me trade nonstop here for a couple weeks, and Bitcoin's been following the SPX really, really closely. Now, you guys know this. When a gap opens up on these markets, they tend to fill like 90% of the time on the daily. The 4-hour time frame, probably 75-80% of the time. Still a very high percentage, but the lower the time frame you go, the the less likely those gaps end up filling here. But here on the 4-hour, I wanted to point out, and it is on the daily too. There is a bit of a, actually show you guys. There you go, boom. On the daily here, you guys will notice that again, 90% of the time that these gaps are created, the price ends up filling it. Gap created, price ends up coming back down and filling it. Gap created, price ends up coming back down and filling it. So we do have a new gap that we opened up today. So what I would say, and this one's very small, it's nothing, and it's not crazy at all. Just again, we are watching Bitcoin's dominance remain a lot higher, which means if Bitcoin does fall just a little bit, altcoins have seen that 10% pullback here. So yeah, I think that just
is that gap pulling us down, pushing us up?
The gap would be pushing us down here on the SPX just a little bit. That could be roughly on Bitcoin's price. I would imagine if we were to pull back to this range, you're looking at an $68,000.
All right, so maybe a little bit of a pullback, but he did say, maybe 75% of the time he's not, betting the whole farm.
The last time it didn't fill would be all the way in, this would have been August, actually pretty, August 13th. We had a huge jump on the SPX here, never filled.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at Bitcoin. Let's zoom in a little bit on this chart here, because we got two different parallel channels. One that we're looking at looks like we are breaking out. We came down, we retested it. If we go to the 4-hour, you really see how much they're respecting this channel right here. Maybe we are out of the woods, folks. We could be out of the woods.
That looks really
Can we just
nice.
have only green days like that from now on?
Yeah, that would be really nice. But what about the other channel? Are we still respecting the other channel? So this is the downward channel. I have the upward channel as well. So we're going to make this one disappear. We're going to pull up this one.
Heck yeah,
DJ, you're going to love this, especially on the 4-hour. We are still respecting this channel as well. This time little bit of a rejection right here on the right here on the dotted line in the middle.
Midline,
We
yeah.
go the 4 hour. Look at that textbook rejection right there. So got a couple things potentially pushing down the price. So we kind of wicked up to it. Go to the 10-minute chart here. Wow, look at that. Literally, I'm folks, that is nuts right there. So when you see how close we're coming, I expect us to probably knock on this blue dotted line before the day is over, but it could have a little bit more of a downward pressure on the price. So just beware if you're trading Bitcoin.
Go back to the longer time frame.
70,000 Bitcoin today?
Yeah, go to the longer time frame candles. Well, maybe not today. That's what I want to look at. Let's look at that midline and go out to the end of the week. If you
All right,
can.
so let's do Friday. So if we go ahead and stretch it, this is the Monday candle. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on the top end, $70,079. So it's a little bit hidden there, but yeah, we're looking at a $70,000
Bitcoin by the end of this week if it respects the middle of that channel. Now,
Yeah, and that's
obviously,
not even breaking through.
I was just say if it breaks, let's say.
Oh, you ready for the bull?
Yeah, let's
the
do
bull
something
targets?
bullish. Let's say we knock on that today, tomorrow, and the next day,
And then we tiger uppercut it.
yeah, exactly. Let's look at what happens if we get to the top end of that channel by Friday.
All right, if we tiger uppercut this thing, Ken and Ryu are going to take it $77,000.
Oh my god!
If it happens on Friday.
Yeah. Now that's on the bullish side, obviously, but I could see us definitely moving up through that channel. I mean, we've been following it very well. Both of those channels you've been tracking for the last several months. Feels very bullish that we're sitting on top of the descending channel now. That's acting as very strong support. I could see. I think this week's going to be bullish for Bitcoin, and we do move strong into the 70K.
I just want to see the 70K. I want to. The
I wanna see
Bears
it.
are so funny, dude. Twice, 2 times in a row. Last week we had both the Israel attacking Iran, which crashed the price right after the FUD, and the bullshit of the government suing Tether, which got rejected twice.
Well,
so,
and the thing to keep in mind on when you see those things happen both times, I thought, man, Bitcoin looks really strong right here. Like, yeah, it dipped, but it recovered fast. That dip
We're
got
back at
purchased
89,
up, and
or 69.
yeah, the support continues to look stronger and stronger and stronger. So when you got potential world wars and major investigations, FUD happening, and Bitcoin doesn't really care, that's major bullish.
Last time we closed a candle above 70K, closed a candle, folks, we got to go back super, super far. This didn't close
February,
above.
March,
It kind of wicked into it. Kind of got to go all the way back to this one right here, March 14th. Now, there's some that peaked into 70, but if you see the bottom of these candles, couldn't quite, pass the muster right there. Maybe that one right there. We got this one little red Doge candle, which, I always say the Doge candles signal a reverse. That signal a reverse, so we haven't had it happen. I guess you could say June 7th is the last time. I like C90 saying that looked more like Mario's Yahoo in a Sonic Boom or a Tiger Upcut. That's my fat gut. Okay, that's my fat gut.
Well,
That's all
we've
it was.
got.
I used to be a plumber though.
We've got where'd he go? Big Tip Shark says he wants to see the Discover Crypto fam dressed as Street Fighter characters for Halloween. So
all right, I'm not doing Chun-Li. Get that out of your mind right now. That is not happening. I could put on some weight, eat some more Halloween candy, maybe do Honda. I just show up to work in a towel only. Will that work, TJ?
I don't know
Sorry,
about
what?
that.
Pass,
I don't know about that.
No.
Don't get Bob from accounting excited in chat, okay? I know he's hearing this like, what? Let me turn on that volume.
All right.
Yeah.
all
So
right. I
wait,
guess
are you guys?
HR stopping
Will
me.
you do costumes on Thursday?
Costumes
I
on
haven't
Thursday?
planned on
Actually,
it.
I was already thinking about it. I figured you were going to. I have an idea. I'm kind of mad at Gary Cardone, unfortunately, because it got canceled. So we're not going to have the crazy costumes we're going to go for. But I do have a basic.
No Cardone Halloween party, huh?
Right.
No, canceled because of
man.
the hurricane.
Well,
Oh,
all right. So if you guys are gonna dress up, then
Damn it, Helene!
we should all do it, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe I could bust out one of my old outfits. Fun fact: I dressed as Donald Trump in 2015. 13 months before he won the election. There's still 20 Republicans running. I was just a fan of Celebrity Apprentice, and he was back in the news. No one knew who I was. I worked as a bartender, so I had 300 people look at my costume. One or two people, and they're like, I think one of the two didn't even know the name. Yeah, you're the guy that's like running for president or something. Like no one knew who he was.
Can I dress up as Barack Obama?
Ooh, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not
I don't
fair.
think so. You could dress
Not
as his
fair.
mom, but that's only it. All right, folks, let's
gonna dress-
move on here. Let's go ahead and see what we're doing. All right, so I just posted this.
This is for. Oh, I thought you were gonna do some Cardano stuff for Steve-O.
No, that's the weekend videos, folks. That is the weekend videos. All right, first I want to lead the way. What's going on with ETFs? I say ETFs are starting the pump. Well, this is what we're talking about, folks. Emory University. This is breaking news. Eric Balchunas just reported this because they just reported $15 million worth of Bitcoin. Emory University. This is the first endowment to report a Bitcoin ETF position. Very, very major. Now, they use Grayscale, but 15 million, that seems pretty small for an endowment. You guys chat, anybody want to throw out a guess? What do you think Harvard's endowment is?
I think it's pretty big. 15.
Yeah, 15 bill.
Yeah.
Mil?
Pretty big.
15 mil?
Pretty big.
15 bill.
But what do you think it is?
Well, I
Harvard?
look, so, you know, I'm cheating here. TJ, do you have any guess for Harvard's endowment fund?
I mean, I would think it's in the hundreds of millions at least.
Okay,
Ready
hundreds
for
of
this?
millions. All right.
$102,000.
This is why it's major, folks, because they're putting a giant amount into this Bitcoin ETF. I'm looking for I think it's 22%. Here we go. 22.8% of their portfolio is in Bitcoin.
Nice.
So we got a major allocation for Bitcoin from this college endowment. Harvard has $53 billion. We have another, that's the updated estimate, at least $50 billion as of 2023 here, June. So now we're talking about 20% of this. You're looking at $10 billion buying Bitcoin. Massive buying pressure. And it's not so much the buying pressure, how it affects the order books. It's more signaling to the other universities that this is okay. You dip your toes in the water, and now we can see mega pumps. You can see Duke doing the same thing, Princeton doing the same thing, Wharton School of Business doing the same thing.
Sorry, did you say
UCLA
Duke?
doing the same thing.
Yeah, this
You guys
is
heard it here first, guys. DZ shouted out Duke.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say this is interesting because this is almost, to me, I'd kind of forgotten about this category compared to corporations.
Yeah,
like we knew nations, institutions, hedge fund, other asset managers, but universities obviously sitting on huge reserve funds. We talked about Microsoft potentially putting some of their funds into Bitcoin last week. So yeah, and that it's another industry, universities, where once somebody sends that signal across, once other people will start to follow. So Emory, obviously not a huge school compared to like Harvard and things like that, but still it's notable. It's right here in Georgia. So shout out to Georgia for leading the way again. Finding out more and more, a lot of thought leaders in the space coming from Georgia. I just found out recently one of the other co-founders of Tether owns some property in Roswell. So
oh,
like,
all right. We're going to talk about Tether later on too. There's new Tether FUD that we got to cover, folks. Yeah, so 50 billion, seeing the signal shift, seeing these dominoes fall, very bullish for Bitcoin. Now back to the ETFs. BlackRock now holding 400,000 Bitcoin worth $27 billion after their accumulation spree. And I know they hold it for their clients, folks. And so this 27 billion in the iShares ETF looks on chain says in the last 2 weeks alone, they've grabbed $2.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, gobbling up 34,000. So in the last 2 weeks, nearly 10% has been added here. And remember, it went live January 5th of this year and has since returned 44% returns as of September 30th. In a recent report, BlackRock, with $10 trillion in assets, the Bitcoin could act as a hedge against the U.S. mounting debt and other macroeconomic concerns. I'm going to talk about some of these macroeconomic concerns. I think I'm going to cover, I don't know how you feel about this guy, Josh, Chamath Palihapitiya. He's saying Bitcoin is the future and a resounding inflation hedge. Should I do a deep dive on this guy? What are your thoughts of this guy? He has good sweaters.
Mr. P. I refuse to learn how to pronounce his last name. It's longer than a thesaurus. So, I'm just out here enjoying Chamath coming into the Bitcoin space. But no, dude, Chamath's got a lot of really good things to say. If you guys don't watch the Altcoin podcast, one of the best podcasts out there. You don't need to watch the whole 2-hour thing. He does speak about Bitcoin for a little bit, talking with his other, very wealthy friends. Maybe I'll snip it out, make a quick video on that. Snip.
I'll do a little snip, folks. I'll do a little snip, unsnip, everything snap.
Yeah.
Snip. Shout out to Pam. Condolences for Pam. You heard what happened to Pam?
No, what happened?
She just got diagnosed.
Oh no,
breast cancer. Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, sad story.
Wow,
sad story. Yeah, sad for Pam. We're Team Pam, not the stupid other, what's her face? I forget.
I want to call
Ann?
it. Is it Karen?
Ann. It is
Ann,
Ann.
yeah. We're Team Pam, not
yeah.
Team Ann. That's
Ann
for
and
sure.
Pam and Dan and Land and
There's just a lot
Cham
of them out there.
and
All right, let's shout out to Jan. One night. All right, spot Bitcoin ETFs about to reach a major milestone. What is that milestone? 1 million Bitcoin in total holdings here. They're getting very close here.
1 million Bitcoin?
Yeah.
1 million Bitcoin.
Isn't that
Take
crazy?
that, Satoshi.
Yeah, they're already about to pass Satoshi's wallet in like
Karen.
7 months.
Think about that.
It was Karen, yeah. That's
It was
what
Karen,
I
not
said.
Ann.
10% of the supply, roughly, is going to be tied up between Satoshi and these funds so far. And then what? Versus another... That's crazy. That's a lot of supply being held.
You know, there's 21 million. So a million is going to be, you know, just hair short of 5% here. Leading the way, of course, is BlackRock. I think, you know, Grayscale way up there as well. And Grayscale and Fidelity's come in second and third. So Grayscale is 14 billion, Fidelity has 12 billion, and then BlackRock has 24 billion dollars. Then we got some other small players on the sidelines there. Could end up collectively surpassing Satoshi Nakamoto. Not the creator of Bitcoin, but he's the creator. He's the creator of Bitcoin. Wow. It's just he's
you know,
impactful.
honestly, shout
he's
out-
impactful. That's what it meant.
I feel like the writer purposefully misspelt one word, so they'd be like, "Look, ChatGPT doesn't get any words wrong. This is my actual article."
Yeah, I'm a human being.
That was a human error, and I actually appreciate that. Thank you, whoever wrote that article.
Where's Bobcat at? Says Dirty Dan. That thing's up 200%. You freaking maniacs. Rookie numbers. We definitely agree. Definitely some rookie numbers right there. And One House Productions brings up a good point. Let's not forget the lost forever Bitcoin. So when you really look at what circulating Bitcoin is, it's 19 million out right now. Probably closer to 15 million. There's probably 4 million disappeared forever.
Yeah, it's like a lot of inactive wallets. Just like there's a lot of inactive people. Guys, smash that like button. We almost have 1,000 people watching this live stream right now, guys. It is a happy Monday. Well, look at this, by the way. SPX falling right now. I do think this gap's going to fill here. Bitcoin is falling a little bit here. 80 or 68,767 falling in tandem as well. Maybe we'll get a triple bottom. If not, we'll follow it down. I'm still in the short position. A lot of people in the Telegram are still in short position, up about $2,000. So we'd like to see this play out here. But again, it is just showing you how correlated this market is. And I just want to remind you guys, if Bitcoin goes to 68,000, right? This is never buy into the top of a green day. FOMO right now, guys. High greed factor, right? High greed factor. You want to be buying on those lower greed days, those fearful days. So just
speaking of greed factor, I did my first post of a trade inside the Telegram today, and right now we're up 14%. I posted my short there.
You also had
15% now.
Fear Factor's host interview Trump. Did anybody watch that this weekend?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Speaking of Fear Factor, I watched the first hour, and then the next day I saw clips, and then after I seen clips, I had no desire to catch up on the remaining 2 hours. Felt bad, but
it's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a 3-hour podcast.
I find most impressive, not that he sat down and answered questions without a script for 3 hours. He sat down as a man in his 70s, didn't use the restroom once.
Yeah.
That's strong constitution out there, folks.
He was actually just constipated. And, you know, we're
in a diaper. That's the rumor,
Chat,
folks.
let us know, guys. We'll be covering it here in a little bit. Let us know if you guys watch this weekend, what your thoughts were. It was crazy. 35 million views or something. Yeah. Insane. It's going to be one of the most watched videos
That was
on
what
YouTube.
was impressive to me was the view count numbers. Seeing that it was basically picking up 1 million views per hour. For the first day it was out there is pretty insane.
Bill Brower, dang, that McDonald's fry cook got an interview with Rogan. Yeah, I mean, he his trajectory of the last 7 days is very
shows, guys, anybody can do it. Doesn't matter if you work at McDonald's, if you work as a mailman, you can do it. You can be on Joe Rogan too.
Or you could even if you're a crypto founder, you can actually make
crypto founders actually make it. Yeah, he made it out from the. He made it out of McDonald's, brother.
I like Bob from accounting. Did he ask Trump to eat something gross? No, he had to hang from a helicopter and grab these poles that had flags. I don't know, this whole thing. Then he won $1 million. All right, let's talk about the ETFs compared to what is being created. If you don't know, Bitcoin hits the market every 10 minutes. There's new Bitcoin created. That's how they mine Bitcoin. Every 10 minutes, new block. Right now, we get 3.125 Bitcoin. So we can track how much Bitcoin is created. So over the week, they made 3.125 times 1,000. 10 minutes times 1,000. We got 3,100 Bitcoin created. The ETFs bought 15,000. And so right now the demand is much, much, much stronger than what is hitting the market every day, every 10 minutes, every week there. So I do expect this to largely continue at least for the next 12, 15 months. Now let's talk about the Japanese MicroStrategy. We're talking about, of course, Metaplanet, Josh. Now, last time we looked at Metaplanet in a Bitcoin announcement, the stock was down. What do you think it is today?
Up. I'm gonna guess it's up today.
All right. Well, they just hit a major milestone. They now have over 1,000 Bitcoin. I like how US ETFs were like talking about hitting 1 million, but we're like, hey, you know, they're almost hitting 1,000. Still, 1,000 Bitcoin is no laughing order. More about just getting more and more Japanese tech companies to follow suit. The stock is up 7% today. So finally had a good day. Over the year, it is up 576% over the last 10 months there. So
It's almost like they're taking profits here.
Almost, but then we go to the 5-day and we're down 9%. So you never know, folks.
JD, 7 straight months of altcoins bleeding out. Feels good.
It does.
Feels good.
It does.
Yeah,
Speaking of bleeding out, how about MicroStrategy bleeding out all the Bitcoin from the markets as well? They now own over 252,000 Bitcoin. This is worth over $17 billion. They call this the greatest financial story of the decade. Josh, do you hold any MicroStrategy stock? How do you feel about having some exposure to that stock?
I've always had a MicroStrategy, DZ. I've always focused on that long game. No, I do not actually hold any MicroStrategy stock, but I think it's a great play. I think like Riot, a lot of those blockchain, like Bitcoin mining firms, they've been some of the best stock plays you can have possibly made in the last 2 years. So,
what are your thoughts on it, TJ? I'm gonna pull the stock up here. It's up 5% today.
I do think it's a good strategy. I'm appreciative of the fact that they're doing it. I think other people will adopt it. That being said, I do think the stock is trading at a little bit of a premium right now compared to Bitcoin's price. Like the performance it's seen, I think has been pretty insane. I don't think that will continue necessarily at the same rate. I do, that being said, I think it will be strong over the next decade. I mean, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin and people that hold it. And MicroStrategy has a ton of it. So I think their company will do well. So will their stock. But I think it's a little overheated right now.
And I feel like MicroStrategy is a play for people that aren't super deep into crypto. For me, it's like I'm just going to buy Bitcoin. For me, it's going to be I'm going to buy altcoins on top of that. If I'm going to the traditional markets, like right now, we're on a road to, we're almost at $100,000 in this portfolio, but we're doing a road to $1 million. And there's going to be a point where most of the profits I take off trading Bitcoin, I'm actually going to put a little bit into Bitcoin, yes, but I'm going to put it into VU, VIM, and some high like yield dividend plays on the stock market because I want to diversify that portfolio. I don't want to be like, if I'm in crypto and in stocks, but it's all crypto stocks, it's like then when Bitcoin has a bear market, I'm not hedged against anything, right? So there's also that kind of that to take into account. But MicroStrategy, I think it's a great play.
Now, we had a really good trade that, I remember we were talking about it. So if this is just the past year for MicroStrategy, and then they started the year around $60. January 5th, that's when the ETFs were announced for Bitcoin. I remember this. Their stock started to fall. The speculation was, well, no one wants to buy MicroStrategy anymore because that was kind of the safe way to buy Bitcoin. They're just going to buy BlackRock ETFs. Ended up bottoming about 2-3 weeks later, $45. And now it is just skyrocketed to $247. Major gains. So if you jumped in, I don't want to say an easy trade, but a pretty good trade if you counter traded the narrative there, 260% pump. That's
if Trump wins, I think that will double next year. I think you're going to see MicroStrategy at 500. They're going to have to do a stock split.
Mike's basically asking you that now. What is the difference between a Trump win and a Kamala win for Bitcoin's price, Josh?
Short term, Trump would be better. Long term, Kamala would actually be better, but worse for altcoins. And if you want to know what I mean by that, go watch Friday's video where I kind of break down BRICS, Bitcoin mining, baiting Western sanctions. But if Trump wins, I think you're going to see a huge exposure from like Microsoft and these big companies. Like Microsoft has a meeting on December 12th. Are they going to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet or not? Why are they having it after elections is the question you got to be asking yourself. Why didn't they have this conversation last quarter? Because they've already been having these conversations. So for me, I think they've got their toes kind of dipped into these waters. And they want to know if they can go all the way in or not yet. They want to know if it's, chilly or warm. So we'll see if it ends up being a cascade event. I expect, guys, if Microsoft or an Apple or any company that's not Tesla, because for whatever reason, the media hates Elon Musk and Tesla, any company that's not Tesla and the Magnificent Seven, if they add Bitcoin to their balance sheets, you see Microsoft, you see all of the Bitcoin-related stocks just shooting through the roof. Yeah. And so, I think that is going to be more favored under a Trump admin. But again, no matter what, Bitcoin wins with either president. And
we have the vote for Microsoft doing just that. Zeki, what do you think about Pyth? Pyth is the Solana chain link. I think there's a lot of room for the upside, especially as Solana pumps. And so, yeah, we're semi fans of that, but I like Chainlink a little bit more, even though it might have less upside.
Real
There it
quick,
is.
we've
Says,
got cryptic Crabman saying props on that Moonwell call, gents. But I don't know if you've looked. I mean, basically, what'd you do that about a week ago? The Moonwell video.
yeah. The Moonwell played out well, and I moved an L2 that was slower into Moonwell, and it's doing well.
Yeah,
Still wait for the big moon, but
I mean,
it's still doing
been what is it up 70% in the last 7 days?
Nice, good job there.
We also have PSC Film in the chat saying Ondo is dumping, and it is actually coming back down to that range we were talking about just last week, guys. This is what we would like to see, is that 60 to 65 cents. But again, what you guys have to realize here, and I keep saying this every single episode, is altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin, and they're going to remain to be outperformed by Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin has a volatile swing, Ondo, Jupiter, your altcoins, guys, going to have a way more volatile swing. So right now, Ondo being super exhausted, he had a bit of a double top here, although it's kind of looking maybe like that cup and handle pattern, but didn't end up playing out here. Got rejected by that neckline, moved right back down here. This could be an entry point that we'd be looking at DCA into. Jupiter's one I've been waiting to pull back as well. But Solana, fortunately, actually has been ripping pretty hard here. So despite, Bitcoin maybe being a little weak by resistance levels, Solana's ecosystem seems to be the strongest ecosystem right now. And that just makes sense. It's got all the meme coin plays. We'll be talking out in just a moment, but that is where a lot of the volume is. So if you're not in Solana, your altcoins, guys, like we've been honest with you every single day. If Bitcoin drops by 5%, your altcoins drop by 10%.
And Steve-O is jumping up and clapping right now. Mike Anthony, where'd you put 100K for a 1 to 3 month profit short term? I don't hate ETH. I think ETH might be a fairly higher price 3 months from now, and I'm not worried about you losing 70% of your value, 30, 40, 50% of your value if Bitcoin does another leg to the downside. There's a non-zero chance Bitcoin retests that 49K, 50K level. If that does happen, alts are going to get blasted. If you're in ETH, I do not want to see that far.
That'd be a terrible Christmas.
It's possible,
but yeah.
Solana's probably also not bad as well.
I would say Solana.
That amount of money, you want to just be careful with some in the top 10.
If Bitcoin goes to 59K right now.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That would ruin people.
I would
But
I'd
it's
be wiping my
exactly why,
tears in my
guys,
ape
we have a
hoodie.
completely free Telegram where we both short and long the market. We make profits either single or, anyway. It's completely free, guys. Links in the description below.
I do want to pull up. I was just wondering, when did we talk about Moonwell? So this is the next base coin ready to moon. This was the one we were telling you. I was telling you it was ready to moon. We normally don't say insane words, but when we do, it's because we have a little bit of conviction. We put it in October 23rd. We gave you the front ran information at 11:30 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. October 23rd.
Phew.
Oh my God.
Nailed
Not only
it.
that, we gave you a freaking dip. We gave you the dip. Oh, good job. Good job. Everybody, oh my God. Can you imagine hearing about it in the morning stream, getting in at the nice low point there, right there at a nickel?
That's a quick double up right there.
And I did say I was going to retest that like 5.8 at some point. Now I don't know, folks. Once we turn 10 cents into support, might never see a nickel again. Now we're not there yet.
Another $10 super chat coming here from Mike Viapiano with another SWE question here. Talked about this just a little bit earlier ago. If you're looking to get into SWE here, I'm going to pull it up on the chart here for you guys. SWE, if you're scalp trading, got a decent volume, pretty big market cap. Might be an altcoin you want to be trading. I personally pretty much only trade Bitcoin. So if I'm looking at dollar cost average, okay, what I'm going to be looking at is the daily here. And the daily is losing this 50-week moving average right now. So if it cannot close back above this and Bitcoin does pull back, you're looking at, again, $1.46 SWE here in the near term, potentially even all the way down to $1.27 at that range. Now, what you can kind of be excited for here would be this potential cup and handle pattern that might be playing out. And maybe end up being a little reverse head and shoulder pattern here. But right now we're looking to get a little bit more downside here unless Bitcoin can break past that 70K level. And again, looking at the SPX, going to fill that gap. I don't know if that's today. So if you're going into SWE, what I would point out is the stochastic RSI is definitely overextended. However, there is more room on the RSI to come down on the daily time frame here, and the MACD can continue in a bearish trend. So I would look to either simply DCA and look away, because there's a pretty big percent chance that you get a 10%, maybe another 20% dip on this price, even in an uptrend. And the reason why I'm saying that, guys, is because, again, look at SWE, one of the top performers. It's not saying, hey, we're bearish here. What we're looking at is if it can't hold this line, this support level, right, get that change of character it is looking for. And right now, again, alt season looking quite weak against Bitcoin dominance. it's going to completely depend on Bitcoin's dominance and Bitcoin's price breaking past 70K to see a reverse.
Also, I led this show. Solana went to 15 billion and then fell to like 5-6 billion. So that Solana pullback in the same range in 2021,
Well,
a lot stronger than people
what
expected.
did it go from with Luna, or when it first collapsed?
Luna?
Not Luna, sorry,
Like how-
FTX. It went from like 100 and like
to like $16, I think.
Yeah.
it went all
yeah.
in.
What was the market cap? I'm very curious.
I don't know.
Did it go
It
to
was
like
small.
100 million?
It was small. I
That
don't
is
know.
crazy.
Real quick though, we had somebody saying that Telegram won't let them verify to join that group. Is that something you've experienced before, or if somebody's running into that issue, any recommendation?
You can message in the there's when you click on the Telegram join, it takes you to an initial like
Like a
support room.
verification? Yeah.
Just type in there. They should be able to respond to you.
Okay.
That should be as simple as that.
Josh,
yeah.
are you ready to talk about transition?
Like an illegal immigrant going into a prison cell?
No. I'm
Oh.
talking about Bitcoin stock to flow model, silly. Bitcoin is ready for the
Silly
next
goose.
phase transition here. This is really what I love. When does the pumps usually start? The pumps start with the red dots. And we saw it right here. You normally don't get too many red dots before you get really, really insane price moves. Looks like right here, I mean, we know what happened March 2020. You can kind of see it right there. This little dip. It took us a little bit longer, so that one's a little bit different.
How do you
now
guys,
we're getting ready to.
how do you
hit some
guys
high
feel
levels.
about Plan B switching on his policy? Or not policies. Man,
On
I've been watching too
metrics,
much Twitter.
basically data.
His data point, because last cycle he was like, this has been invalidated. Now he's coming back and saying it might be validated.
I am skeptical of all power law things, and I'm skeptical of all things that just keep going up factors of 10, factors of 10, factors of 10, because there's only finite human beings on the planet. And so the factors of 10 is going to run out. I think it's from the
Like a
the
level
10
of
to
diminishing
100K
yeah.
is going to be very difficult to hit 100K. And then to think, well, the next cycle just goes from 100K to a million. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Decades. Yeah. We hit a million in 2030 something. Probably.
I would agree. I still think it's a very good, like, we pull up the chart again here.
Yeah.
I got to turn the mic here because I
Oh.
got to look at the screen behind me now. But when we pull up this chart, I at least like it because what it tells me is like, even though Bitcoin's at this price level, it may not be exhausted yet. And this just comes with, I think, volume, volatility, just the institutional interest. Like, yes, there's volume coming back into this market, but we don't have that euphoric excitement that we saw back in 2020. Again, I think that's going to come after 70K no matter what. That's when all your VCs are going to pour and dump money back into these markets. But hey, interesting
Let's
chart
look
there.
at bands, because bands will make Bitcoin
I do
dance
like
as well.
bands, yeah.
Bitcoin is poised for major price movement. We've talked about these things before. They're called Bollinger Bands. And they're showing one of the tightest formations in history. When the bands are at a tight level, often referred as a Bollinger squeeze, it indicates a period of low volatility, potentially setting the stage for a powerful price breakout. And so if we zoom in a little bit, you can see it squeeze right there led to a pump. When it squeezed right here, dump, then pump, squeeze right here, dump, then pump, and then squeeze right here, just straight pump. So we got pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, pump. Feels like no matter what, it's setting the stage for a very,
dump.
very bullish
I don't know.
rally.
It
It could be that
okay.
49K dump pump, but either way, you zoom out 3 months, 6 months, Bitcoin's price is going to be a lot higher than what we were thinking. Now,
Is it
have we
just me
had
or does that look
tights-
like an elephant?
Say what?
Is it just me or does that look like an elephant?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I will point this out. You see that the Bollinger Band is only tight for a short amount of time. Here you can see very, very short amount of time. Here you can see very, very short amount of time. Here you can see very, very short amount of
Oh, yeah.
time. I don't think we're going to be in this tight Bollinger Band squeeze
No,
too
and
long, folks.
I think anybody that is a bear is going to be completely wrong in that sense. There's one thing if you're analyzing altcoins, but again, looking at like the BRICS summit here, you may not have gotten Trump speaking about Bitcoin with Joe Rogan on his podcast, but Putin was talking to Xi Jinping and a bunch of other countries on why Bitcoin is really good for evading Western sanctions. So no matter what, I think that Bollinger Band pinches to the upside. The only difference is ETH going to follow? Is Solana what's going to follow that trend? I think it's going to be kind of it'll be a lot.
All right. Speaking of a lot, there's
Bullish,
there's a lot of FUD. Let's go the other route. Bearish.
FUD.
Remember all the Tether FUD from days ago?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
The
like
Tether FUD. Well, now let's look at the aftermath. What ended up happening in the aftermath? $400 million in liquidations as it dumped $3,000 in just minutes. It was from a controversial report from the Wall Street Journal, which was denied by Tether CEO immediately. However, damage was done already. He refuted the claims made by Wall Street Journal. As we told the Journal, no indication we're under investigation. They are regurgitating old noise, full stop. Now, what they are saying is there's a New York district attorney is now looking into Tether. But we've seen this in the past. In fact, 19 different times, Tether has attracted U.S. government action. This one, they did count this one. Manhattan attorney is investigating Tether. And again, no confirmations. But what about their reserves? Is it all there? Is it a house of cards? Well, the CEO saying, well, we just have a casual 82,000 Bitcoin and 48 tons of gold that is in their reserves. Now, of course, their cash equivalents is not in this. If you didn't know, Tether has profit every quarter, and then they invest those profits. So they're not taking your Tether dollar and buying Bitcoin, buying gold. They're taking your Tether dollar, getting some 3-month treasuries, 6-month treasuries, 2-year treasuries. Then they get profit. Then they buy gold. Then they buy Bitcoin. Then they buy Bitcoin mining equipment.
Yeah, USDT is the U.S. government's best friend. And even if the U.S. government's partnering with the BlackRock and that's going to be USDC, they don't want USDT to fail. Why? Because one, not only can they already control this industry in a lot of different ways, but two, is good because they're the largest buyer, one of the largest buyers in the entire world of U.S. Treasuries. And people don't realize this, even though it's one-to-one backing. You have a 4%, 5% yield on, billions of dollars. Their company is incredibly profitable. And in fact, Tether, I believe, reported billions in profit, whether it was year over year or last quarter alone.
Tether is I believe Tether's one of the highest profit per employee businesses in the world.
Yeah, it's up there with NVIDIA.
In the world. And people keep trying to FUD it like it's some, evil empire corporation. And look, if you want to make the comparisons, I would say it is the Federal Reserve of crypto.
Yeah,
I would make that comparison.
That's what I was about to say. It is basically Circle and Tether are the new central banks. And so they're almost too big to fail at this point because of exactly what Josh was just talking about. They hold too many U.S. Treasury bills to fail at this point. And they're going to continue.
If the Tether CEO wanted to act like a maniac, I'm pretty sure people in silent helicopters would descend upon him and then take over that company.
And you have to realize, now with institutions approaching the space in the way they are, like BlackRock, what would that mean for BlackRock if Tether were to collapse, right? This isn't like, oh, rainbows and sunshines.
Great point.
They step in and we're all healed because USDC is here to say, no, Bitcoin's price would crash by 90%.
Josh, that is
Altcoins
a wild allegation. You're saying if something is bad for BlackRock, it typically doesn't happen?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah.
What?
It's kind of like
fair.
every...
Wait, why?
Yeah, it seems like it's not fair.
This is BlackRock taking control of things like basically and this is why you could see central banks around the world kind of in a panic because Tether and Circle are the new central banks. I mean, they are slowly replacing the Fed, Bank of Japan, EU, People's Bank, all of that stuff. That will happen through Tether and Circle, which is why there's so much political economic jockeying going on right now.
Their case doubles too, because if BRICS does they had their mock dollars for BRICS presented to Putin, kind of like the leader of the little collective there, which is kind of, it's weird how him and Xi Jinping have that dynamic there. But if that were to come in, you have to realize Tether, they don't care. Again, you guys got to realize America's not the only country. So if America's like, oh, we're going to keep sanctioning everybody and keep starting all these wars, well, everybody across the world is going to be like, well, screw the dollar. We don't need it. We have Bitcoin and these other currencies. They're going to just start backing themselves there.
For the first time in a long time, there's actual workable alternatives. And that's what's really shaking things up. Just real quick, Tether has an estimated 100 employees. That's 45.2 million in profit per employee.
Profit per employee, not revenue. Profit per employee.
So if your employee is not making you $4.2 million, no, fire him. 45 million?
45.
Yeah, I'm just giving up.
That's
got an Elon Musk per person.
That is nuts, folks. You said the banks are panicking, the government's panicking. That takes us to our next story. SEC is also panicking. Gary Gensler, he's calling up his twin. I can't believe they're doing this. SEC to monitor Bitcoin and Ethereum. Regulatory blocks ahead. So if you don't know what this means, they're adding it to its scrutiny list for 2025. When you're in the scrutiny list, you're going to have more examination. You're going to have increased regulatory surveillance and amid new products rolled out for institutional investors. But is this a new thing? Is this a different thing? This has already happened. They're going to increase the part of his examination list for the second year in a row. So they had it in for 2024. They're going to continue it for 2025. This is just like the last throws. This is the frat guy knocking things off the table because he's kicked out of the party. So he wants to make his mark here.
Slam the door on the way out kind of thing.
Yeah, he's going to rip a poster down. Just get out of here, Gary. Just get out of here. That's going to be a good segue. Hold on, give me 1 second here because I bookmarked it. Did you see this moment right here from the? This was fantastic.
Funny.
I'm surprised. I don't know if Johnny might have it later on the show.
I haven't seen this yet.
Janet Yellen is asked about her concerns over the U.S. dollar's world reserve status. Before she can respond, this sign right here falls off the frickin' podium.
Smith with the FT. You've described calls for widespread tariffs as deeply misguided, and the IMF today has warned that such policies will dent global growth. Can you elaborate more on the near-term economic impact of these policies and over a longer time horizon? How concerned are you about the potential impact of the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency?
That is symbolism at its finest.
Of the dollar's status as the world's.
That was crazy.
What are the odds?
Exactly. As soon as she says, "Are you worried about the dollar status?" and then it's like Department of Treasury
dollar's
sign
impact
falls?
on the status of the world, and then we had an impact on the ground of the freaking seal that is representing the U.S. dollar. It feels like a simulation. Feels like it feels in a movie. You would say that's too on the nose.
Yeah.
We have a collapsing economy. We have a government that is failing to monitor the dollar. They're weakening the dollar right in front of our eyes. And then in the scene with the big press conference, and then the hero is there, the government official, and then the sign falls off the podium. You say that's too much. That is too much. That wouldn't happen in real life.
It just did.
It's like the Truman Show, folks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we have even Club Gris here. BRICS is Fugazi in chat. And look, I want to point this out too. Like years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was super against BRICS. Even up till 2 years ago, I was like, this is a nothing burger. But then once Ukraine happened, once Israel happened, we watched all of the unlocks and frozen funds with Iran. We saw the advancements with China and Russia just solving their border crisis. It's becoming bigger than it was. And that's what matters, because this isn't like the US dollar just drops to the floor like that overnight. I mean, if that happens, we're all in a very big, very, very bad issue here. But what's going to happen is more or less a competitor will rise. And over the next 10, 20, 30 years, you have a currency to base and you have another one taken advantage of. And this is where you get that cyclical cycle of money. If you guys have watched The Changing World or read The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio, fantastic book. So where I don't agree is I still think there's a lot we can do to support the US dollar, to support the US economy, remain that reserve currency of the world. But the reality is BRICS just added 13 new members. Iran just joined as a member, which is devastating because India's been a huge backer to Israel, supplying with them weapons, drones, and a lot of support. And them now part of BRICS, bringing them on as a new member, meeting with their president, opens up more concerns in understanding, okay, what does this mean for the economy in the future? Like, why are they all collectively coming together? Why is this new native of sorts being developed by these these countries? And so it's not something you should be necessarily scared of. It's something we need to be aware of. And I use that statement a lot because if this progresses, let's say we have a Kamala Harris administration, we'll be able to more than likely, you could take like statistics about, okay, if this has happened over the last 4 years, what does that mean for BRICS in 2028? What does that mean for BRICS in 2032? Because then you could take that and go, well, if they're talking about Bitcoin and they're mining more Bitcoin than ever, these are some of the largest oil providers in the world, they have some of the cheapest energy, that could mean Bitcoin is going to shoot through the roof. Tokenization might shoot through the roof. So it allows us just to analyze and hopefully, invest appropriately moving forward.
Yeah, it provides contrast.
Yes.
So the US dollar has contrast with Bitcoin and has contrast with BRICS, and then that's going to make them a little bit more honest. Going to make them not be able to inflate our money away as quickly. Speaking of governmental systems, existing systems, Lynn Alden has a 21-second clip. Really sums it up very well here.
If a decentralized spreadsheet is bad for the government or bad for the existing system, that says more about the government or the existing system than a decentralized spreadsheet. That's really all Bitcoin is. It's like a decentralized ledger that we're all agreeing to use. If that's a gigantic risk for everything we built, then a lot of what we build is a Ponzi.
Right. The great summation right there. So if this weird ledger is damaging to you, maybe you need to examine what you're doing.
And this is the other thing I don't think people realize as well, is like saying decentralized ledger has a much bigger meaning to it. It's decentralized on a geographic scale. So, for example, Ukraine, Europe, still buying oil from Russia, even though we're in war with Russia in Ukraine. So we are still buying their very cheap production of energy, which they're using through BitRiver, which is a Bitcoin mining company. They're converting excess and wasted energy into a net value and avoiding sanctions. So that reason right there, that decentralized economy, the decentralization on a geographic scale, is what is going to allow Bitcoin to remain dominant. And again, is why my projections for 2030 is a minimum 250K. That is the bear case for Bitcoin in 5 to 6 years because of the current geopolitical tensions that are surrounding us right now.
Yeah. That was my transformer noise. All right, let's talk about 4 macro events driving the market sentiment. I'm going to front run one. We know the election is 8 days away, but we got some other major things here, folks. 8 days away. I know it's crazy. One, Commerce Department Census Bureau is going to do Q3 GDP. There's no, I mean, median forecast is 3.2, so we don't really have any, I was going to say shrinkage. We're not going to have, shrinking economy. They're not going to be worried about, oh my God, the economy's failing 2 quarters in a row. But the median forecast 3.2 versus the Q2, which is 3.0. So it looks like the economy is expanding. So this is going to be closely watched. This only happens 4 times a year. Next, non-farm payrolls going to be on the first Friday of the month. So we got this Friday coming up. Our key highlight in this week's U.S. economic events calendar. So we got non-farm payrolls. Against it, economists estimate it will increase by 125,000 jobs after surging 250,000 in September. And we haven't had September revised yet to the downside yet, because we know it's going to happen. And then we have mega cap earnings, which is going to also have some crypto implications. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Meta, AMC. I like how they throw AMC in there. I don't think anyone cares about AMC, but no, that's aftermarket.
Bro, bought AMC stocks.
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
But Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Meta, 5 gigantic companies, 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. So we got tomorrow, next day, and Thursday. This is going to move Bitcoin's price. Google is going to be leading the way. If it skyrockets, expect all tech stocks, expect Bitcoin to go up. If it dumps, just like Josh says, the S&P can kind of lead Bitcoin on a little leash here. Sometimes it could break free of the leash, but it definitely pulls it on a little bit of a leash. Google's going to do the same thing to Bitcoin's price. Now, I haven't looked at their financial quarters, analysts, any of that stuff. Have you? I mean, you have any predictions here? Google, up or down?
Google up always AI with right now. Like they're gonna, Blackwell coming out. So this is my prediction right now is Blackwell was actually extremely successful. You had NVIDIA say there was issues with the products and the release of these new platforms being released, that were supposed to be out already, but coming out into 2025. My guess is Sora was so powerful of an AI video to text model that we don't have the infrastructure to support the need and capacity for those levels yet. So just like we saw an overcapacity and over demand for ChatGPT, I think the same thing is going to come. And this is because AI, guys, this is like, discovering fire. And I legitimately mean that. This is going to project our future in ways we can't even believe. Like your kids, like for me or DZ or anybody in this room, our children are not going to have the same educational system that we had growing up. And that's going to be because everything's going to be built around large language models. The way you can trade markets, and by the way, take this for an account. There's something known as on-demand correlation matrix data sets. This is where you can take data from a company, like a stock, a real-world event like a hurricane or a tsunami, and you could take another factor like crypto and combine all 3 and use an AI model that in real time could feed back data that goes, okay, short or long this stock. A human can't take millions of data points and analyze that type of probability. These AI tools can. So that is something that already exists today. Now expand that. Now go, okay, we have AI video to text models. What does this mean for production for billion-dollar companies? I was talking to a billion-dollar producer. I went to dinner with him just a few weeks ago. He works with Tyler Perry, and ultimately was talking about how they're not looking to expand their video production suite because it would be so costly. And they understand that within maybe a year, 90% of those costs are going to be mitigated nearly to zero. So the advancement we're about to see, the profit margins we're about to see expand, the need we're about to see for all these products, Google, AI, everything, I think it's going to explode.
Speaking of expanding profits, the trade, the short, I'm now up to a 26% profit on mine. I don't know if you're
I didn't
still
even
in the
realize.
short.
Yeah, the S&P is starting to bleed right now. Bitcoin we're up $5,000 right now, about 10%.
All right, I'll tell you why I shorted and why I think it's maybe paying out.
I also want to hear you guys where your targets are. Like if you're both up pretty good in this trade, are you looking to where would you look to close it? 68? 68.
I'm leaning towards keeping it open a little bit longer. I saw some bear divs forming, and if you don't know what a bear div, you can see the price going up while the RSI is going down, meaning the relative strength index had no strength left in the markets here. And so this is the 20-minute chart that we're looking at here. And I mean, as you go to the smaller time frames, you can continue to see it. I'll slowly monitor it. But when I see bear divs on like something like a 24, maybe even a 30-minute chart here, I feel like maybe this thing could go down for a good while longer, maybe another couple hours.
Yeah, on the hourly, I agree. The hourly to the 4-hour were completely overextended this morning, which is why I entered in. So I think we're going to retest probably the 68,239 was a good range here. I think that was on the hourly we drew out here, some hourly support.
239.
No, that was probably the daily. Daily, not even. Don't even remember why we pulled that up there. But roughly $68,200 is going to be some support here on the daily. Again, you got that 68,346 though, which is going to be our hourly. So if we can't hold these, I mean, the MACD, the RSI is already is bullish. We got bullish momentum moving into this. Again, RSI is a momentum-based indicator. So if the stochastic pretty overextend on the daily, what we're talking about here is within the 4-hour time frame. So the 4-hour seems to be it's quite bearish right now. The 30-minute though, finally entering that overextended stochastic. So I would say, yeah, you're looking at a target $68,200. If we lose that, we can easily come back, test this 100 moving average here, maybe high 67,000.
Yeah, the reason I ask is this is a winning trade, right? You guys both crush these trades, winning short. So whenever you're up and you're winning a trade, you need to know where you're closing that. What's the target I'm looking Bitcoin to go to where I say, hey, at this point, I think it now makes more sense for it to start coming back up. So like he said, around that, high 68.2, close to 68.3, a couple different ranges where there's some support. Now it could still keep going. You could leave it open, but having a plan to get out of the trade is just as important as having a plan to get into the trade.
Yeah,
so.
And I'll point out last thing here on FOMO, the two ranges while we're watching that, 68,200 is going to be the majority of the liquidity.
I barely can't see the right side of your screen.
Oh, let me put it in for you.
There we go. Perfect.
So you could see that like 68,200 is really that last amount of liquidity. There's a little bit more, high 67, like I just mentioned, starting to open up above us. So again, you're looking at what's happening over the 24-hour range, looking to maybe come support $68,200 again. A lot of liquidity. You're going to see more open up above us. So once we hit, I'm not entering a position now. Once we're at $68,200, you're either looking, we're going to get lucky and actually catch that reversal and make a ton of money, which will be already up about $10,000 at that range, or right, you find new support there, and then we're ready to go higher.
Let's get Josh Degen. I'm going to keep you in the short by showing you this. The Bybit Degens still got to get wrecked. This is the 12-hour on the Bybit Degens. Look at all the bright yellow to the downside. So the Bybit Degens are going to maybe suck it down a little bit lower, folks. All right, speaking of going a little lower, Elon Musk pledging $2 trillion budget cut if Trump wins in 2024. He gave that at the Madison Square Garden was it a speech yesterday? I think he only spoke for about 5-10 minutes there. He said, your money's being wasted, and it's time to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. He did some funny memeable things. He did some funny faces. He did some flexing out there. Definitely, dude. We watched it live. My fiance looked at me and just said, she's chuckling here. He's just such a nerd.
Yeah.
He's literally a nerd.
He's literally a nerd. Have you seen his Diablo?
People, dude.
Well, his Diablo clips, he posted the Diablo community. Inside the thread, people are like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like goated. Oh my God. And they get real technical, like, you're level 150 with the dark armor hitting this with the spin attack. I can't believe you nailed it. I don't know what the heck they're saying, but the gaming freaks are like, this guy's a gaming gigagod.
Yeah, and then the left's on media, like, he's jumping on stage. He's so weird. It's like, this guy is actually level 100 dorkiness.
Speaking
and it's awesome.
Of video games, there's also Madden was played. I don't know if you saw let's see here.
Yeah, who knew AOC?
Yeah, right here. They were playing some Madden. I saw a photo.
It really cool, though. They're only playing with a woman in this male sport.
No comment on that. Is it true his Xbox controller was off?
We don't know. I saw quite a few comments, though, saying that there was two things. One, that there was multiple times where he would look and the screen wasn't doing what he was doing. And the Madden gamers were like, you don't do that. Then there was another thing that was people were trashing on him because as a coach, he should know how to run plays. Because he said he was a head coach. He lied about that. He was an assistant coach. And the plays he were making were basic basic mistakes you would not make if you were an actual coach.
Oh my God, I
So,
can't believe you did a pick 6 there. Or
yeah.
whatever.
Just
All right,
weird
let's
stuff.
talk about AI agents here. Coinbase unveiling on-chain agents. They're going to put a Mr. Smith inside your phone on Ethereum L2 base here. So what are they doing on base?
Great show.
This is one of the more interesting trends to me right now in crypto, to see how this develops over the next 6 months.
Yeah, so they got a fully on-chain agent that can be created in under 3 minutes on the base network here. It's going to be built with open AIs and replit tools, and then they can manage crypto wallets, connect with X, and perform other tasks. Their vision, a future where AI agents drive DeFi. So this is how DeFi becomes a game-changing place. Digital economies are reshaped through AI-driven systems autonomously without human interference. I'll tell you my just quick thoughts on this. I think this is going to be huge. I can see it being employed in DeFi. You know, this liquidity slippage hits this, so you move the funds there, then, you know, chase high fees, you know, switch from ARB to Poly to Optimism to Apt, whatever, you know, and I think they're just going to have like little micro percentage changes are going to be kind of taken over. And honestly, you already kind of see it with sniping bots. And so I think they're just going to maybe make it where the average user, the average Joe, and get their hands on some of these AI tools without having to go in a weird, sketchy Telegram and download something and give up your seed phrase.
I will say, I mean, if you read it, I don't think it's exactly, you do have to have some technical knowledge and understanding, programming understanding, because you have to use APIs and connect to some code and do that sort of. So it's not necessarily like the retail guy at home ready.
Yeah, you're not typing in a chat GPT, like, make me a funny picture.
Not yet. But, and I agree that it is going to be used in the DeFi setting first. But what's interesting to me, you know, if you've been following that Godius Maximus thing, or the Truth,
yeah,
was
we'll
the
check
Truth
in on the price
Terminal, or
right
Truth
now.
AI, that's pretty an interesting, you know, use case, test case, whatever you want to call it. It's not, and this is kind of taking that one step further. So what's interesting to me is going to be to see what happens, all the stuff that we don't think about. What's going to happen 3 months from now after AI agents are interacting with AI agents? Because this is really set up to be true AI agents, that it's not like a task created for and by somebody to go do something where the human's in complete control. It's like, hey, do you want to set this thing up and tell it to go do something, and it controls itself? Now it's possible. So when they start, like the first DAO that's all AI, that what the heck would happen with that? You know, the first time you start seeing an AI creating an organization and getting compensation, and it all lives and remains on chain, and it's actually producing a product, you know, that's fascinating.
Here's when the first AI steals an identity from someone who's like passed, and then starts opening LLCs in the dead person's name.
Yeah.
Or voting.
We're voting.
No, my one I'm watching for is when the first meme coins created like that.
Right,
So it's
that's
like,
what I'm talking about.
Like you train a language model, it runs its own Twitter. You got all these SaaS model you can actually build, and it's kind of cool because at that point you're trusting the AI algorithm to not rug you versus some anonymous 17-year-old in his mother's basement or Ansem. So it's pretty cool to watch that take play right now.
Yeah, I would say odds are higher that the AI rugs, though, in my opinion.
Do you think so?
I do, because
right now, what's their status right now? Is it 1 out of 1 haven't rugged? Is that GOAT?
I'm not. Yeah, I guess I don't really know. I just think it's you know, like if you think about the way AI picks up human behavior, it usually adopts some of the worst. Like it's gonna pick up the worst.
Yeah,
attributes.
you've seen a lot.
Maybe it realized
They
humans are
turn-
trash, and it goes, humans terrible. Well,
Yeah.
we take care of you.
Also, if you think about all the data it intakes, how many meme coins rug? A lot. So it's gonna think that's how they work.
Yeah, it's going to be probably bad. All right. Well, let's talk about some good news for the Base ecosystem out here. And then I'm going to make fun of this guy's graphic. For the first time ever, Base led all chains for total stablecoin transfer volume in a single day. They processed 18 billion in transaction volume. 99.9% was USDC. Here's what I don't like. You can see January, February, March, April, May, June, July. And then it cuts off with this stupid graphic. So Base is this blue line right here. And we're just assuming it jumped bucks.
It covers it.
Covered it with a big blue box right here. So we don't know what the percentages are. But good job, Base. Now let's switch gears. Talk about bridge flows. Speaking of, where is all the attention? This isn't a fair stat or something to dunk on. ETH designed to have outflows to its L2 via bridges. So technically, it's built to work this way. Also shows the outflows for the past day. If you look at the month, Base is actually leading and seems to be coming from ARB, but Solana leading the past 3-month flows. And so we do have month to date, so, maybe we want to look at the last week here, but Base number 1, Solana, SWI. Now, SWI over the last 7 days could potentially be in the red, but for the past 30 days, SWI is on up, BNB is up, Clayton, Moonbeam, and Phantom. Where do we have money leaving? Bitcoin, Polygon, look at Blast, ETH, OP, and ARB. ETH, OP, and ARB. Like I said, ETH kind of built for it. You don't want to see this on OP, Optimism, or Arbitrum.
Yeah, I mean, these are tricky stats because where do you think all that OP and ARB is going? It's going right there at the top. It's going to base. So it's not like it's leaving Ethereum. It's just moving to a different L2.
Oh, I'll go ahead and share this. I traded out of my Arbitrum DEX plays. I think it was GMX, and I've been going a little bit harder on Base.
OP
I bought
stack,
that
dude.
Moonwell. You saw where we told you to buy Moonwell. Doing great on that
Guys,
trade,
if your layer 2 isn't connected to OP Stack, I don't know what they're doing. That super chain is genius. It was like finally they're like uniting everybody. They're like, hey, look, build your own L2s, but let's all connect to each other through one central entity, so that way we can actually communicate and be interoperable. So Base is because I'm very bullish on it.
Me too.
And honestly, you're 100% right. I think moving from Arbitrum into that ecosystem was a very smart play. Moving forward.
All right, now let's look at ETH. Now, this is the stochastic indicator. This is, similar to RSI, kind of looking at some of the same things, and it's showing what is going on with Ethereum. The white line is the price, and when the stochastic hits the bottom, we can sometimes get a nice little pump here. Here, it ended up touching it twice. Here, it kind of ended up touching it twice. There just did it one time, and now we're basically bottoming again and then trying to bounce out. If we look right here, we got a nice little short-term pump. Then we created a higher low, and then we had another higher low, then another good pump. We look right here, maybe you have to look at logarithmic chart to really get a good idea. Right here, all right, right here, great pump. Right here, great pump. Now we're kind of hoping for the same thing for Ethereum, but it doesn't look like a good time to sell your ETH. ETH leading all chains in outflows. We just looked at that. Although Arbitrum Optimism, knocking on the door. Solana topping net inflows. Base, maybe wants to say something about that. Lido trying to open it up for the community. You don't need 32 ETH. Now you just need 2.4 ETH, enhancing decentralization by making this centralized power even more centralized. Wait, is that decentralization? I don't know. I think you can make an argument for both sides. One side, we got Lido DAO probably getting stronger, but now Lido DAO itself is more decentralized. That centralized or decentralized? Really an argument.
I would say it's decentralized. I mean, you're giving access to more people. I mean, I could hear the argument against Lido, but I see this as giving more everything they've been doing has been giving more access to more people to. I mean, I guess you could say they're not actually validating things themselves or staking it, and they're doing it through Lido, but I would say this is good. Giving more people access to stake instead of having to have 32 ETH, I think is positive.
All right, Poly Market is a success for Polygon blockchain, except for the bottom line. I was shocked that it was this low. I guess that's just the deal with low fees here. According to the data, Poly Market has only brought in $27,000 of fees for Polygon proof of stake in 2024. And so they're making more revenue, but when it comes to paying fees in Polygon, you got to pay the little gas. $27,000. So this does not bode well.
So basically, this is not saying Poly Market is only making that much. This is saying Matic, the chain, is only making that much from all the transactions on Poly Market. So Poly Market, the application, probably doing well, but the chain, Matic, Polygon, not doing so well.
You could probably figure it out. So $27,000 in fees, and each transaction, each trade is about 0.7 of 1 penny. So you need to divide 27,000 by 0.7 of a penny, and then you'll probably see, oh, that's how many transactions there are. So it's supposed to be that low. We've talked about this before. When a chain has incredibly low fees, sometimes it appears bearish when you're looking at like DeFi Llama stats and stuff. But then you have the builder saying, no, that's what it's meant for. It's meant for a fraction of a penny. You could do 100,000 transactions and it's still cheap. They're like, yeah, but look how much little money it is. And they're like, no, you're not listening to what I'm saying here. It's tough to tell. I do say VCs probably want some higher fees, but they also want to get in early. So, then it's just that old, what comes first, I guess, chicken or the egg here. Talk about Ripple, CTO. He's putting an end to the XRP usage concerns here. So he's recently spoke about the concerns the community has about the need for XRP to facilitate transactions on the ledger as they prepare for their Ripple's USD stablecoin the company introduced to expand its offerings here. Some people are wondering, well, what the heck? You have a stablecoin. Do we even need XRP? He's saying why it's still needed. He pointed out it's particularly important for keeping the network safe from spam attacks. So they need a scarce asset to make sure only legitimate transactions are processed. If we're not a mandatory part of every transaction, it would be at risk of being flooded with too many requests, which would make the ledger unusable. So the cheaper your transactions, the more you can spam it. More expensive your transactions, the harder it is to spam. So they have a little fee. So, that's why it's still needed. Josh, you love XRP, right?
We can't warn people enough. It's,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Sinking ship.
It's not XRP. What coin besides Bitcoin is the longest held coin in the world on average per holder? Not Bitcoin.
Doge.
It's not ETH. Not Doge. It's tough. Oh, Doge came from this.
Oh, Litecoin.
Litecoin's good job. 2.6 year hodl time, ranks second only to Bitcoin. It beats Ethereum. I think Tom Crown's holding is boosted that 0.2 years, just himself there. So the digital gold, often referred to as the silver to Bitcoin's gold, with an average holding time of 2.6 years. If you don't know, there's 4 Litecoin for every 1 Bitcoin. The Litecoin will never reach the value of 1/4 of Bitcoin's market cap there. But it's a good narrative, and normies like it as well there. Now, we do have a little alt news here, talking about the elections. We said we'd talk about this. The election outcome to shape the future of meme coins. This is from a Columbia Business School professor, and he says Trump's win will hurt meme coins' appeal. Could you pull up MAGA real quick while I'm looking at this? Drew says something about MAGA pumped again. I don't know, maybe over the weekend or something. How will the effects of the election? Nick Carter also agreeing, saying the rise in meme coins partly a reaction to the SEC's oppressive regulation. So if we get clear SEC guidelines, strong alts will do better. If we don't have clear guidelines, you need the meme coin casino because everything's.
It
I feel like
over the
everything
weekend.
can dump.
It went up about probably 30% at one point.
Oh,
So it's at
I ain't complaining.
$4.26 here.
Oh,
Yeah, still
six
it does look
cents
like
away.
it's trying to break out of this range here. But yeah, guys, all I'm going to say about these political meme coins, you got 8 days left after elections.
Yeah, me and
Political
Drew
talk
talking. I might
dies down heavily.
Yeah, I might sell. Actually, I agree with this take though. A clear guidelines from SEC is good money for strong projects. The more money flows into strong projects, the less money there is for just random meme coins. So, yeah,
True.
that actually kind of makes sense. But you could say more money flows into crypto, and some of that will hit the meme coin. So maybe that'll make it go up. Is it Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys?
No.
Yes. No, it's not, folks. It isn't, folks. All right. Well, that is our show for the day. I was 26% in profit. Now I'm down to 19% in profit. So I'll go look at the
It's still gonna
trade.
play. We're getting that little little J pattern here. Hopefully get some more downside here. But yeah, if you guys want to know how this plays out, guys, come join the Telegram. We're still up thousands of dollars right now. I will be adjusting that stop loss probably to about a $2,000 level. So that way make sure we exit with profit no matter what. But if you guys are tired of missing out on these trades, guys, we had a $25,000 trading day the other day. Now, of course, we don't only win, guys. We take stop losses, and those sometimes are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 here and there. But on the day of Tether and Israel, type 1 in chat if you were there, because not only did we call the FUD on Tether and make a $10,000 trade, we called the FUD on Israel when we said exactly this: was every time Israel invades or does something to Iran, it becomes a nothing burger, and the markets respond positively. So we saw both events happen, took advantage of all the bears. We ate very well on Friday, I believe it was. So if you guys want to be in there, go join that Telegram. It's absolutely amazing. That's what we got for you guys
And
today.
Josh said all the words, so hit the like button on the way out. Help us fight the YouTube overlords. They're trying to stop you from getting rich. Let's not let them.